All right, I see it on YouTube. Yep, we're good.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 and older, please play responsibly. All right, Armaan. Leafs
Frustrating.
fans. Yep. Leafs fans, we're back for another game over Toronto. Harnish and Armaan here with you this Saturday, February 11th. Playing a back-to-back against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and unfortunately, we couldn't get the same result as yesterday. Unsure why. I mean, is it me? Is it a me problem? I swear every time it comes to back-to-backs, right, we either go to overtime or we get a loss. Am I just cursed now?
A lot of the time, both overtime and a loss.
Exactly. It's horrible. But one positive that we do have on the show is we're gonna be joined with Alison Lukan just shortly. So yeah, but before we do that, Armaan, what a loss. I mean, it was frustrating through and through. This was just a horrendous effort, right, from our team. And after the first period, it looked like we had a good shot going, but
Dude, the first
I don't
period
know
was
what
dominant.
happened
I
after.
even tweeted that was like a perfect period, and then they followed it up with one of the worst periods I've ever seen them play. So
Yeah, there's
it is
a
what it is.
lot to really go over on this, but yeah, it was a horrendous effort after that first period. But without further ado, let's invite Alison and get her input as well. I'm pleased to introduce Alison to the show tonight. Alison's a contributor and on-air analyst for the Seattle Kraken and previously worked for the Athletic on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we're gonna have some good insight on this as well. What a perfect game. Alison, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm thrilled. I hope it's not my fault. Maybe this is I'm the bad omen.
No, don't worry. I'm telling you, I've had some really bad luck this new year with a couple bad games. I'm starting to feel like it's me, but we're at least we were able to talk it out with you and the rest of the fans as well. So help us digest that horrendous loss for us at least.
Was Columbus your team growing up, Allison? Because I knew you're originally from.
Well, I wish I was that young, but they did not exist.
Until like what,
It was
2000, I think?
2000, yeah, 2000 was when they started. But if it helps at all, I can tell you that there's a lot of Columbus fans who aren't happy that they won either. Because
Yeah, I was
they
just
won the tank, so
exactly. I was just gonna say that. I was like, it really seemed like no team won today. The Leafs didn't win. The Columbus for sure was not happy with that. And I really thought with Merzlikins in net, I mean, tank commander Merzlikins ready to lead the charge, but no,
He was a different goalie in the second period onwards.
exactly.
Like,
I was like,
the Leafs
what is
weren't
going
playing
on?
too hot, but like that save on Yarncroke, I think it was the 2-on-1 where he just
That was the shorty.
desperation. Yeah. Oh my God, that was incredible. He didn't look like what is he, like an 880 goalie right now?
Oh yeah,
He
Steve put
certainly
out a
didn't look like
tweet.
that.
Yes, Steve put out a
Yeah.
tweet earlier today. He's ranked 69 out of 70 for goalies that
Oh,
that play
jeez.
10 games.
He is an 871 on the season.
Yeah, I mean his numbers must have went up after tonight's game, so there's that. But yeah, I don't know what happened really with the Leafs. They started off really strong, and Nylander was able to capitalize, and they had a couple other chances. I mean, even Bunton got a goal there as well in that first. And in the second, just the wind got taken out of them. It seemed like they just left Wall up for to fend for himself. They just provided zero help back there, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
do you guys think though that, I mean, what was it? Was it the third goal that he just couldn't freeze the puck? I mean,
that was a rough goal.
when you know you have your goaltender, and I mean, I felt for the kid, right? Like that sucks. But sometimes when you know it's your goaltender's first game, they're not necessarily playing super sharp. You start to focus on playing back
Yeah.
versus playing forward and playing aggressive. I mean, you guys watched this team a lot more than I have. Do you think that was part of this as well?
Well, partly. Like I don't know with Joseph Wall, like the first period, I thought our forwards were really committed to defense. We saw Bunting and Nylander make two really solid defensive plays on the back check. But then in that second period, that went away, and we were leaving guys wide open. Like Wall didn't have, I would say, a great game, especially with rebound control, but that's expected. He was an AHL All Star this year, but this is his like I don't know how many NHL games he's had, but this is his first of the year. So I thought we just really struggled with picking up that extra guy on those rebound plays, and I think Justin Hall was a part of 3 of the 4 goals where he lost his man, and he shouldn't be doing that. He's a veteran in the league. If it's like Pontus Holmberg or Joey Anderson, it's a little more forgivable. But Justin Hall is part of our shutdown pairing on D. Like it's pretty bad that he's been so soft in front of the net today. But yeah, it was a tough loss.
I think that was the
Yeah, I
perfect
mean,
way to kind of sum it up. Just a tough loss, or just not playing.
Frustrating.
Yeah, tough loss, but also just taking the foot off the gas, right? I mean, that second or that first goal, with Boone Jenner, right? It really seemed like Hall just lifted up let his foot off the gas pedal and just gave a little extra inch, and Jenner was able to push off and get that snipe off, right? Just create a little bit of distance, right? And that's all you really need. And in the playoffs, that's gonna burn you, right? Um, and then that second goal as well, again, Hall and Sandin, it really seemed like they doubled up again on Jenner, right?
Yep.
Again, and Marchenko was left wide open, right? And so it was really just zero help, and it seemed like they do know better than this, right? And I just don't know what was happening today. It just seemed like they had an off night.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we had Columbus in Seattle right before our bye week. And as you saw in the first period, like bless their little hearts, they can't transition the puck to save their lives,
Yeah.
right? So, I think, and this is the narrative about the Leafs, right? Is that they can't seal the deal. My apologies. I'm also on a podcast, Too Many Men, and we always have to make it about the Leafs. So this is just like a full circle moment for me. But I think that if when you play this team right now, this Blue Jackets team, unfortunately, it's pretty easy to get pretty confident
Yeah.
about what they can't do against you. And I think the flip of what you're seeing too is that, what this is a Columbus team that's trying to build right now. And if you really look at who were the performers tonight, Marchenko, right? Kent Johnson, like these are the future of this club. So I'm trying to soften the blow a little bit where it's not like you were beaten by like Sean Corrali 4 times with the
But he did get one.
He got one,
Yeah.
yeah.
not 4. But I think that Eric Robinson was not scoring 5 on you tonight, right? So, Andrew Peak wasn't like just shredding everything up, right? So, with all due respect to those players, but you're looking at some of the talent come in, and a player like Marchenko has only been in this league since December, right? So the book isn't necessarily out on this kid just yet. I'm trying here a little bit.
Yeah, it is also, to understand, like, Columbus might be like last in the league, I think, but I don't think anyone was really expecting that going into the season. Like, I don't think they were contenders, but I certainly think they had higher expectations than where they are right now. So, like, I think their record undersells what they are as a team, but at the same time, that should be a win for the Leafs 10 times
100%.
out of 10,
Mhm.
right? Like, yeah.
100%.
And we
Uh,
also talked about the second period. It they did play bad, but they were limited in terms of their opportunities. But the opportunities that they did get, I felt like they had some pretty good chances, right? I mean, that Hall got a shot off that just he kind of flaked on it. He should have buried that, and then the Yarncroc
Yeah,
shorty
getting
that
raw
got
Goimers,
stolen, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple chances where I saw where I'm like, maybe that could have gone in, and maybe it's another game, or it's a different game entirely, right? But still,
The
you
second
can't be getting
period,
outshot that much regardless, right?
yeah, the second period we didn't do too bad in terms of shot generation. We generated 9 shots, but we also gave up 21.
Hmm.
You know, that's insane. And they only had, I think, 1 slot chance in the first period. And then by the end of the second, as per like Luke Fox, the slot chances were 14-8 for Columbus, meaning they got 13 slot chances
Yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
second period. Like,
if you look at shot quality, right, and I'm citing natural stat trick here. So period one, we all agree, Leafs domination. They had 80, almost 83% of all shot quality at evens.
yeah,
Period two, 58% for the Blue Jackets. Period three, 71% for the Blue Jackets. So
yeah,
it totally skewed the other way in those. The Columbus started to come in period two, and then period three, it was domination the other way.
Hmm.
yeah. And it was right at the start of period 2. It wasn't even like, I think a lot of people are looking at like what happened during the game. And it was like puck drop period 2, Columbus was on it. And the Leafs just weren't. I don't know what like was possibly said in intermission, but it clearly didn't work for the Leafs because like right at puck drop. And then you have really stupid plays like when Nylander took that dumb penalty that could have been a major if he actually made contact. Like,
Hmm.
he was lucky he didn't get a major. The only
Yeah.
reason he didn't is because he missed,
Yeah.
and it was a 1-goal game at the time, and it's like, what are you doing there? And Bunting as well, making some stupid boneheaded moves, and it's tough to see those types of plays because that's the other team's going to try to get under your skin in the playoffs, and if you're that soft and if you're going to retaliate like that, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah, the
Bunton.
penalties.
Yeah,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Go, go.
I was just gonna say, I mean, Bunton really just needs to kind of harden up a little bit because the refs are clearly not on his side, and
Not at all.
yeah, not at all, right? And just what was that penalty that came off? It was just because one of the Columbus guys was making a, oh, well, you're chirping me or whatever noise, right?
That was such a soft
And
penalty, though.
Bunton
Like,
just goes at it. Yeah, I know,
I know,
but
but he
you
barely
can't
went at it.
you
Like,
shouldn't
that's not going to get
retaliate for
called.
that.
The thing is, like, Bunting needs to understand where he stands in the league.
Hmm.
And, like, it might be unfair to him that that's what gets called is, that's a play that happens literally you know, every post whistle scrum.
Hmm.
But, he has to understand where he stands, and he's not going to get calls. He got hauled down. You get up and you go back to the bench. This is it's unfair, but it's what it is. Like, this is the NHL. You're not gonna, like, you fell on the wrong side of the ref's favor. So yeah, I don't know. He just needs to smarten up and understand what he is in the ref's eyes.
Well, and if you watch too, like, and because we watch the Hockey Night in Canada feed here,
Yeah,
if you watch like the minute that hit after the Nylander penalty, and I forget who said it on the broadcast, but they said, I don't know, what was going on with Gabranson, and it was after Crawley got the stick, but I was between the benches when Columbus was in Seattle, and
yeah,
Gabranson, the one thing he can do is he'll just start John, right?
yeah,
He'll just start John, whether he's on the bench, whether he's on the ice. And to your point, I mean, I think that's what he thinks he's trying to do to help his team right now in
yeah,
Gabranson. I know I'm saying it the American way, not the Canadian way, but I mean, I was surprised at the lack of discipline by the Leafs and
yeah,
how much time they spent in the box, especially in period three in key moments. Like, that's, the performance on the ice that we've been talking about is one thing, but that lack of discipline in that sense too was not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
yeah, yeah. You want them to be smarter, especially in a game that's getting away from you. That's where your leadership needs to kind of dig down and get the team back on its feet. But like, Nylander took a dumb penalty, and I don't want to blame Nylander too much because that's not a part of it, like a part of his game
Right.
that I see often. That's the first time I've ever seen him kind of lose his mind and make a dumb play in terms of taking a dumb penalty. But with bunting, it's sort of a trend, and I like the snarl. That's the thing that like kind of pisses me off as well. Is like a large part of Leafs discourse over the past 5-6 years is that this team needs more grit, this team needs more toughness. They need to really show that they care because we've seen it before, disengagement. But the guys that we've had is like Kadri and Bunting, who both are taking really dumb penalties at stupid times, and it's very tough to watch. It's so frustrating.
Yeah,
Oh God.
it's a tough situation. I really don't know how he kind of fixes it, right? Because it really seems like once he has his name in the refs books, like nothing's just gonna go his way, right? And yeah, like to your point, I love that you brought up Kadri because that's the exact same situation, right? We had another player that had that snarl that we enjoyed and we'd like to see, but it's just a couple boneheaded plays, and then once you're on the refs bad side, it's tough to get out of there.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
regardless of whether or not it's their fault or not, like we could talk about NHL officiating, but
mhm.
it's not going to change. Like it's just
Right.
not going to change.
I
Like
swear, I'm pretty sure that's the
the
largest
most talked
topic
about.
we've ever
Yeah,
talked about.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like we've talked
just
about it a bunch of times,
constantly.
but it's like, what are you going to do? Like it's not going to change, so you're going to have to learn how to adapt around it. And
Yeah,
like it sucks, but that's what it is.
yeah.
Well, let's talk about this on officiating. Did you think that the Kent Johnson goal was
Oh
good?
God, no, I didn't, and I don't understand. Every angle they showed on the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast
Yep.
looked like it was above. But like
I
the
agree.
one thing that I'm thinking is that like the call on the ice was that it was a good goal, and they didn't have an angle that conclusively is that the right word?
Yep.
Conclusively said
Yeah.
that conclusively said that it was above the bar. Because every angle that I saw looked like it was,
Mhm.
but it did hit on the shaft and not the blade. And so that's the only thing I can think of. But like, I don't know. Because there's no communication from the league either. Like, I don't know what they saw.
We had in Seattle had one called back that I could have sworn from the angle, and it was an Alexander Wenberg goal, that I could have sworn the stick was below the crossbar.
Yeah.
But John Forsland, and I can't remember if Eddie Olczyk was on the call or not, but they were saying too, and JT Brown was pointing this out, an official will also often use the player's shoulders as a reference point.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
I don't
interesting.
know if that came into it, but I was with you. And I thought the Wenberg goal should have counted and it got called back. So I
Yeah.
was just as shocked as you when this one stood, because every angle I saw, I thought it was going to get called back and taken off the board for sure.
Yeah. Like, I was almost certain. Like, this was one of the ones that I was like near certain about that I was going to get called back because the contact happened right beside the net. So you can like,
Yeah.
it was very like the
Right.
reference point was right there. So I was like, okay, it's getting called back, and then they called it, and I was like, oh, okay, guess I'm blind. So, but yeah, let's move on because I don't want to talk about this game. I want to talk about the trade deadline because
Okay.
you've covered the Columbus Blue Jackets before, and there have been two players on Columbus that has been part of speculation, and at least with Leafs, and it's Gustav Nyquist and Vladislav Gavrikov. And I can only speak about myself, but as a Leafs fan, I haven't really watched them all that much. And advanced stats are fantastic and great, and I love them. But like from someone who has seen them play and followed the team so closely, what if they're acquired? What can you expect from like those two players?
Yeah. So it's again, like Columbus has had just such a crap year, right? Then they
Yeah.
were citing the number of injuries and number of players who played on the broadcast as well. So everyone already heard that. But it's insane that they're this broken. There was a year, I'm totally making the story longer than it should be, but there was a year back, I think it was 15, 16, 14, 15, when like half the roster was out. Bobrovsky was out half the year. Boone Jenner was out half the year. Brandon Dubinsky was still good at the time. He was out half the year. We called that the broken year. We didn't think that it could ever be worse. It's worse now. So it sucks that Nyquist right now is hurt.
Yeah.
He is trying to come back. It sucks for him. And it sucks for trade value for the Jackets, obviously, too. But I really like Nyquist as a player. He's one of those players that does all the little things right. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife kind of player. When he was at his peak, and even if you go back to years like 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, even 19, 20, when the Jackets were still, making postseason contending and being in there. Gus, and with high caliber players, Pierre-Luc Dubois, even when Duchesne was there, Gus Nyquist is a player that can make a difference when he's out. You notice it. You notice when he's out. So I think he's a good depth guy. But now, do you trade for him knowing that he may not come back, right? Because one report was surgery, one report was not. Who's to say? Gavrikov, I have not watched him as much since I left Columbus. He was really good with David Savard. With a player like David Savard, they were a great shutdown pair. I think that maybe his underlying numbers, if people are looking at those, probably aren't as strong. But again, right now, he's in a mentor role with a very young, very inexperienced defense. I think if you bring him in and don't expect him to be the full solution, but a really solid part of the solution, he can be really good at that. He's going to be more on the defensive side of things, but he does have some offensive upside. He'll jump into the play. He'll get there, but he's more so just really going to protect you defensively, as long as there are systems in place too. That's been another thing that Columbus has struggled with so many guys in and out, is how are they playing? What is the structure? I don't think that we really know this season. And I say that with respect. I'm not saying someone's not giving them a structure. It's been really hard to figure out what they're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure. And, this game sort of showcased two Leaf holes. Firstly, Hall was pretty poor, but I understand that a lot of people don't like him, but I also think he is one of the top 6, Leafs D-men. But if we do get someone that pushes him out, that would also be fine, So, but the one thing I did want to talk about is that Kerfoot was on the ice in an empty net situation, which I don't like. We don't have the offensive depth when we have a guy like Matthews injured. To have Kerfoot out on the ice during an empty net situation, that's just not the guy I want. So Gustav Nyquist is a target that I would find to be very interesting. I think we did something similar back when we acquired Riley Nash.
Yep, exactly.
When he was injured as well. So, I don't think that worked out too well, the Riley Nash situation, but at the same time, I think Gustav Nyquist is a much higher impact player. So I would very much enjoy getting him. So
I think it would be a similar type deal, right? Because Riley Nash was hurt when he got traded as well. But I agree with you. I think that Nyquist is a better version of that. He'll be really responsible defensively, and I think he has more of an offensive upside as well.
Yeah, for sure. And so during the game, we had a bit of a Twitter snafu. It was very hard to focus on the game when all of the talk with Jacob Chychrun was going on. And I was just like, okay. And then eventually I think it fizzled, but
even Dubas was on his phone the entire
night
too.
I was so
and here's
something
the thing,
was going on.
I thought the angle that they showed, I will say this on the record, it looked to me like he wasn't talking to someone. It looked to me like he was FaceTiming with someone. He's showing, he was either taping something or showing somebody something.
Yeah.
That's just my theory based on absolutely nothing other than 5 seconds of video.
Yeah, and Jeff Merrick during the intermission said that the Leafs said they weren't in on him, but from everything I've heard is everyone has said they're not in on him. So I don't know what's going on, but I just hope he doesn't go to the Bruins. That's my one wish. Please, not the Bruins. That's it. I would love to get him though. He's great too.
Hey, I actually wanted to get your opinion on this because the Leafs. We look at the Foligno trade and we got burned with a rental, right? And it seemed like Dubas, he had a press conference earlier, I believe it was a couple days ago, right? And he mentioned that obviously the big names are love to haves and whatnot, but really we're looking for players to try to improve the overall team itself, right? And do you think that picking up a rental like Gavrikov and whatnot, do you think that's a better option, or do you think we should try to go for Chychrun? Because I believe he also has 2 more years left on his deal as well, right? So he can stick around a little bit long term as well.
Is that to me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, to me, here's the thing. If you're the buyer, yes, you want to go after Chychrun, right? Because it is a controlled asset for some time. The seller, however, has all the power
Yeah.
in this year with the cap. And I feel like the prices are going to be, I mean, we're already seeing the market start to get set, right? Like it's already insane. I mean, it's when David Savard got traded for a first overall pick, respectfully, shocking. Nick Foligno getting traded for a first overall pick, respectfully, shocking. So the prices are going to be insane. And so I think it's what you want versus what you can get are going to be two different things, because the sellers have all the power right now.
Yeah, and the rumored assets that were required for Chicken was kind of insane. I mean,
Right.
they wanted Matthew Nyes plus our first overall for this year, plus a couple of prospects. I mean, we don't have a lot of depth in our prospect pool right now, right? We can't just keep shipping these guys
And,
out.
you know, like even like
for
Nick
this.
Robertson, he was a blue chip prospect, but now his value is the lowest it's probably ever been because of the injuries that he's had. Like we have like Matthew Nyes and our first. Those are the big
That's it.
blue chip.
And I think we also gave
things
away
we
our
have,
second
assets.
our second round for this
but
year
that
as
was
well.
totally worth it for Gio.
Yeah, of course. But
Beautiful.
I'm just saying, like, we
Whatever.
don't have a lot of picks in this draft either, right?
Yeah, we don't. It'll be interesting. I think Toronto's a very interesting team to watch at the trade deadline, because, you know, we heard the Dubas presser where he was pretty much saying, like, you know, we're not necessarily going to go after big name guys, but there's a lot of big names on the board, so I'm not entirely certain if he's telling the truth there.
Right.
But yeah, like last deadline we brought in Gio, and that was probably one of the best moves we've made in a long time. Like, yeah, just an absolutely stellar.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
we appreciate
yeah,
it.
he has definitely benefit. It was a good deal, both sides. I do want to bring up a couple of quotes that came out from the post game. John Tavares, this is from Mike Stevens, said, whether things are going our way or not, we've got to be smart and not give our opponent life. I think that directly references what Nylander and Bunting did. So that's one. And a pretty scathing quote from Sheldon Keefe, who said, Sheldon Keefe is displeased by Maple Leafs' lack of effort and competitiveness and lost to Columbus. I can't do the work for them.
There you go.
There you go. They're gonna be.
He's gonna backskate them.
Yeah, they're gonna be backskated, and they deserve to be. I mean, their next game is what, Wednesday? So you got some time to get your act together, because Jesus, that was bad. That was one of the worst efforts I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, this is very similar to that. What was it? That Montreal loss a couple of weeks back. That 3-2 overtime. Again, I think it was the second period again where they scored 2 goals on us and brought it back as well. Yeah, horrendous. But the Leafs have another bottom tier team on Wednesday in the Blackhawks, and judging from the Leafs' ability to play up to their competition, or play down to their competition, I would say, we're in for a fun one. That's for sure. Yeah, but I think that's gonna do it here from us. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast today. Thank you again, Alison, for coming on. We appreciate it a lot. Give a shout out. Where can everyone find you?
Oh, sure. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate so much. Just you reached out and it was perfect, because usually if it's a cracking game, I can't do post game because I'm doing a post game. So it was really cool to be able to do this. So thank you. But you can find me on Twitter, if Twitter still exists by the time this gets out there. Who's to say anymore? At Alison L, ALISONL. I'm on Instagram at Alison.Lukan. And our podcast, Too Many Men, is at 2_much_man.
Perfect. Sweet. And yeah, that's gonna do it here from us. But you can follow me on Harnish_Patel98. Got it this time.
Yeah,
Armaan.
You messed it up.
Yeah, I prepared.
And my name is Armaan Pathiki. You can find me at Armaan Pathiki on Twitter.
All right. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.